Hello everybody. Today we're talking about DM's updated tier list here. This is after the Puch, the boost patch. You can see him down here. He is new. So we're going to talk about this. This is post-LAN. I imagine that's what a lot of this is going to be based off of, is how characters performed at the LAN, who was banned at the LAN, etc., who was picking them. So let's get right into this, starting from our top down. Reminder that this site is made by DMBrandon and all of the juice guys. All credit goes to them. How you look at this is you go from the top down, right? So S plus is the best, or SS is the best, all the way down to crappy tier. I believe DM rates it from left to right. I don't do from left to right. I just do up down. If they're all in the same tier, they're all about the same level. Nothing specifically within that level. That gets crazy specific, and that's a whole other thing. So, starting off here at S+, we see Athena there. Totally agree. Athena is one of the best characters in the game. You can put her in like 4 different roles right now. We played her mid in the tournament. It's not troll. It actually works. It really worked with our team composition. It's just part of being Athena. Bellona, same kind of thing. Super strong in the southern lane. Even stronger in the jungle. Base tanky, base does a lot of damage, can build more tanky or more damage, has so much leeway room. Serket. Serket is a character that I believe is an S+, but is not the same as Athena Bellona in terms of difficulty, right? So Athena Bellona, you don't have to be like the best player ever to be pretty freaking good at Athena and Bellona. Serket is a hard character. If you play her and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get murdered. You're going to be like, this character isn't that good. But when you master Serket, she is unstoppable. Her damage output's insane. Her crowd control is amazing. She has 100% healing reduction. You can't kill her because she bops away with 27 different getaways. You've got to be really good at her. She's not like an entry-level character by any means. Sylvanas, of course, in the S+ tier. Half of that's because of the fact that you can't out-clear a Sylvanas in lane. If there's going to be a Sylvanas, they beat you in lane. Deal with it. Like, that's just part of Sylvanas, and that's one of the reasons why he's so strong right now. Moving down into S tier, we have Her in the S tier. Honestly, I don't think he is. I think this is going to be reserved for our mid to late game hunters that turn on. Yeah, he's strong early. Yes, the early game is important, but I think that Shibalanke and Rama had a much stronger performance at the LAN, and I'm going to base a lot of this off the LAN. So I'm going to move him down to about A+ tier. We'll get him all situated after we get some of these other guys moved. Baka, definitely S tier. Was banned out almost exclusively in the tournament. We didn't get to see much play from him. Doesn't really matter. Bakasur is amazing. Geb is S tier. We saw quite a bit of him at the LAN. He'll always be in contention, even if he has no abilities but his shield. All he needs is the shield, and he's a good character. Like, that's the only skill he needs. Hercules, I do not agree, is an S tier. While he was picked and banned pretty frequently at the LAN, I'm just not convinced that he's that character that's like, oh, we got Hercules, we did it. Like, when you get a Thor on your team, or like a Hunbat, you're like, wow, we got a good comp. You have Hercules, and you're like, well, we're tanky. But it's not like we'd won the game. And so I'm not putting him in S tier. We're going to leave him for a little bit later. We're probably going to end up putting him in this S- A+ tier, somewhere around there. Hunbat's 100% S tier. His crowd control that he brings to the table with his ultimate is disgusting. He's like, let me just... And then everybody's CC'd. And if you have somebody else like an Athena on your team that can wait for beads to be gone and then can use her taunt, or a Sylvanas or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're going to get destroyed. Hunbat is a huge character right now. Isis. I don't remember if DM had Isis previously in S tier, but I think I did. I'm not even actually sure if I did, but I agree, S tier. Isis is so strong. People are finally playing her correctly. It makes me feel so good as like one of the original Isis players in Smite. And she has so much CC, and she has good damage. And even if you fall behind, you can build her supporty, and you can still do good on your team compared to if you're like Poseidon and you fall behind, your Kraken doesn't do any damage, you don't bring anything to the table, right? Janice, I can't put him in S tier because I don't want a Janice on my team as much as I want an Isis, right? If I want a character more than I want this character, then they're not in the same tier list. So he's going to go down somewhere yonder. Medusa is S tier. Super strong lane clear early. Super strong single target damage. Ultimate is game-changing if you hit 1 or 2 targets with it during a team fight. Also does a lot of damage. Super awesome passive. Works well with the new Heartseeker build coming out with Aussie. Everything about her is strong. Poseidon, I agree, is an S tier. He's a character where you pick him and you go, man, our mid-harpy fight is going to be awesome. You hit level 5 before the mid-harpies. If you have a character like Athena with you and they don't have their beads yet, taunt, ultimate, you won that team fight. You might have won it so hard that you can do the Gold Fury. That's the kind of character that you're looking for in S tier. Rom. Rom is definitely in the S tier. Talking about him, we'll also talk about Xbalanque. These two characters thrive, and I mean thrive in the late game. Honestly, they're about equal in the late game as far as how strong they are. Rom has that attack speed steroid, a really good getaway, the astral arrows, everything about his kit, the ultimate, which snipes people getting away, awesome. Xbalanque, the team fight ultimate from Xbalanque is absolutely game-changing. If you get a good Xbalanque ultimate in the middle of a team fight or at the start of a team fight so your support can initiate, you just change the entire game. You cannot stop that from happening. There's no counterplay. It all comes down to the Xbalanque hitting the ultimate at the right time, and that's half of Xbalanque's kit. Thor. Thor was played poorly by almost everybody actually at the LAN. Weekend didn't play super hot on Thor. Gars did not play super hot on Thor. I think Captain Twig picked Thor and didn't play super well. Honestly, everybody picked Thor and went, this isn't really working. The God's still S tier. He's been proven time and time again to have that capability. But this particular LAN was a poor performance for Thor overall. Bastet, I'm going to take her out of this S-. Actually put her in A tier. Towards the start of the season, everybody was like, Bastet OP. I was one of them. I think people forgot that you build a heavenly agility on your team, and Bastet doesn't do anything in a team fight. Now, sure, she can snowball out of control with a couple easy kills. She gets Transcendence online. Her bleed hits you for a lot of damage. But all characters can snowball out of control. That doesn't make her super special. Let's put her over here so I don't forget that I did this. Kronos, S-, sure. You're probably not going to be first picking him, but he is a character that you're looking for to hypercarry your team. Doesn't bring a whole lot to the mid-harpy fight, so you have to be careful about putting him in the mid there if you don't have something else with him. But endgame, there's no mage that even comes close to Kronos in terms of carrying. Nemesis, S-. I'm going to bring her up to S. Nemesis is a character that people seem to stop playing for a long time. She's kind of like Bastet, right? Bastet, people are like, oh, she sucks. Oh my god, she's great. She's kind of alright. You can counterplay her. Nemesis is kind of like that, but as a support player, which I am, you cannot do anything about Nemesis. All you can do is build a wing blade. Right now, though, if you build a wing blade over Talaria Brutes, you threw the game. Right? You cannot do it. You have to get Talaria Boots, which means at the earliest you can get Wingblade after Talaria Boots, but now you don't have any physical defense or your sovereignty for your team, and everything is going crazy. Nemesis is the ultimate counter to supports. Also, to the tanky solo lane meta, they have a Hercules over there. You pick Nemesis, the Hercules is dead 100% of the time, all the time, every day, every gank. GG. Scylla. I'm going to bring her down from S- to A+. She has not been seeing strong performances. Scylla's been being played very okay. She hasn't been played that often. She's not getting picked over consistent characters, right? Scylla is a character that's not consistent. You don't pick Scylla every game and go, wow, we're going to win because we have this amazing ultimate. She has a great ultimate, but it's hard to land. It doesn't always get a reset compared to you have a Kraken. You're pretty much going to hit it every time unless you're, you know who you are. Anyway, it's just so much safer to have Kraken than it is to have Scylla ult, and they basically accomplish the same thing, and Scylla is squishier than Poseidon. That's what it comes down to. Sobek, S-? Nope, he's going to be A+ as well, so let's figure this out. We got to move some characters around. Alright, no way is Sun Wukong S-. Sun Wukong is perfectly balanced right now. Sun Wukong is not OP, he is not bad, he is 100% a focal point of balance. No question about that, throw him right in the A tier. Bacchus, bring him up to S- here. Bacchus is a great counter pick. You need anti-healing, you can go Bacchus because he has a free slot, right? You have a open active slot to get Weakening Curse, and he has built-in healing reduction on his burp. You can't pick Geb if you need healing reduction on your support. Geb can't initiate without a blink. Bacchus has his jump for initiation, does not need blink. That's why you pick him against healers like Sylvanas. Fenrir A+? No. Fenrir is a perfectly balanced character. You snowball. If you don't snowball, you're just alright. Guan Yu is S-. Bringing him up to S- here. Guan Yu can be played in several roles. Solo lane, support, even the jungle sometimes. He's very strong in certain characters. He has great counter matchups, especially to some of the stronger supports right now, like Geb. Guan Yu destroys Geb in lane. His sustain is amazing endgame. Everything about Guan Yu is really strong. S- type character. Alright, let's get some of these right here. Sobek in the A+ range. Janice in this S- range. Scylla A+. And her A+. Hercules A+. There we go. We got that all figured out. Agni is not an A tier character. He's an S- tier character. I pick Agni about when I'm thinking about to pick Janice or Kronos, right? Agni is a very strong character, but I want to see a Poseidon on my team or an Isis on my team more than I want to see an Agni. But I want to see an Agni on my team more than I want to see an Aphrodite mid, right? Or a Nuwa or a Zhonghui. There you go. That's how the scale works. Ao Kuang was perfectly balanced. Not after this patch. I'm going to bring him up to S-. All I know is if Cyclone can play as well as he did in Ao Kuang before this buff, if he gets buffed now, I don't even understand what's going to happen. 30% heal on your ultimate, you're never going to have to leave a team fight. Aphrodite, perfectly balanced. No problem there. Stay. Arachne, agreed. Perfectly balanced. No big problems there. Cupid, fantastic. Freya, good. Hades, fine. Hades dropped out of the meta recently. Was a very common solo lane pick. As it turns out, he doesn't really bring that much to the end game. Very strong early game. Amazing push. Nobody really counters him super hard in lane. Very safe pick there. But not the greatest character. Kali, sure. Nothing super special about Kali. Loki, no. We're moving him down a little bit. Loki is a very pitiful character right now. Kukulkan, don't like it. Mercury, not a fan. Nuwa is a perfect point of balance right now. She's fairly strong. She has fairly strong lane clear. Her biggest thing is she has the minions for backdoor, like split pushing, or if you don't have minions, you got the FK and you're pushing down towers. Taking away backdoor protections is actually huge, and is one of her biggest drives, honestly. Thanatos, we're going to move up here towards like a S- A+ tier. Let's see if we can't get you guys like super handsome like that. So Hercules and Thanatos are both in this range, right? Where they're like S- A+. Thanatos is a super strong counter, hard counter to Thor. Thor is an S tier. He's a very common pick. Thanatos super hard counters Thor. That's why he's in that range. But you wouldn't necessarily pick Thanatos first before Thor, and that's why Thor is above Thanatos. What else we got down here? Tyr is perfectly fine. Woojer is a strong character. I don't want to block the A+ symbol. We're out of room here. We're out of room. That's alright. We're gonna make some room. I know, it's a hard life. You're a chicken. Woojer is in this A+ tier. He's better than Cupid, right? I don't think anybody would argue that Cupid is better than Woojer. Woojer brings more to the table. He has a better late game. His early game's honestly just as strong with the axe stun. He's just a little bit better than Cupid. He's not quite as strong, probably, as Shibalanke or Rama in terms of the ADC role, but Woojer also does have some leeway room in terms of like being played in the solo lane. Can happen. Vamana, perfectly balanced, perfectly annoying. Don't ever pick Vamana. He's the most annoying character. Just kidding. Actually play Vamana. The little Mana skin is one of my favorite skins in the game. And say hello to your mother for me. Volkan, just not bringing the oomph right now. He's going to be an A- character. Like, he's like close to being balanced, but like, his ultimate's so risky. And that's where I'm also going to put Kukulkan, talking about risky ultimates. These are characters that their entire kit is based around hitting your ult. But if you miss your ult as these characters, You're so useless. They're so risky. A Kukulkan ult can win you a fight or lose you a fight, but there's not really a guaranteed way to hit it, especially because there's Aegises in the game. They Aegis your ultimate, and now you're a standstill character. You don't bring anything to the table compared to, like, if you're Isis, you're going to have your Spirit Ball up in a couple seconds, and you're bringing some CC to the table, plus damage. Ymir is at a good point in his life. Good lane clear, good CC. The problem why he's not being picked is because he's so slow in terms of, like, he doesn't have any getaway skills. So if you get caught out, you're dead. You get caught out, you're dead. You get caught out, great, you're dead again. You can't do anything about it. You just die. Song Kui is at a good point of balance right now. Fairly strong. You can't really gank Song Kui unless you have a Nemesis, in which case you're dead. But he's got good sustain. His mana usage is fine. His teamfight presence is great. He usually has leeway room to get, like, a active for your team. So say your team needs a shell, he can pick it up. Or if your team needs a heavily agility against a Bastet, the Song Kui can also pick that up. He has some leeway room on his actives. You know, he doesn't have to get X active besides maybe beads, but beads plus something. He's got some leeway room there. Alright, you guys, I put all down here. Bada bing, bada bing. Move your way over. Alright, A- tier, Aries. Yeah, he's not that great right now. Mainly because of lane clear, right? Lane clear is super important. Aries has no lane clear. You lose the lane. Your mid-harpy fight is meh unless you get the harpies to hit 5 and ulti, which in case it's good job, but, like, you're probably not getting the harpies, so it doesn't really matter. Pew. Talk about that in a second. Pew. Chang'e, A-, no problem. Osiris, we put Volkan and Kukulkan there. Moving down into our characters that you're probably not going to be picking anymore in a competitive scene, right? So, A and above, you're going to see a lot. Anything below A tier, you're going to have a hard time seeing in the competitive scene. It's just not... Maybe niche picks that you might see a little bit, but, like, you're not going to see it consistently. Artemis is a riskier version of, say, Rama Shibalanke, right? No getaway skill on her. She turns on late game is when she gets really strong, but it's so impossible to get her to that late game that there's no reason to pick her. Yeah, she might be better than Shibalanke Rama late game because of her ultimate Tusky giving her CC immunity, but you're not going to be better when you're 0 on 5 because you got ganked by Thor 8 times because you didn't have a getaway skill. Not viable. Willix doesn't bring anything to the table that other junglers don't. That's why she's there. Hu Yi is interesting in terms of, like, his potential, but when you have a character like Hu Yi, who is, like, pretty good early game, his clear is pretty good, his mid game is pretty good, his team fight is pretty good because of his ultimate, his late game is pretty good because of the mark giving penetration. Like, you don't pick a player or a character in competitive because they're pretty good. You pick them because they're awesome and you're gonna carry with it. And Hu Yi's just kind of like, I'm pretty good at everything, right? And so that's why he's a B+. Loki and Mercury, two characters that were very prominent in season 1. They would have been up here in, like, the S tiers. The game is early game, right? Games are not going 40 minutes long. Games are like 25 to 30 minutes long, and Mercury, Loki both thrive at that, like, 30-minute plus mark, and that's why you're not seeing them anymore. They don't get the time to shine anymore. There's not 15-minute games every single game. AMC is a riskier version of Artemis, who's in the B+ tier, which means we move him down to the B tier, right? He's just a riskier Artemis who's not even as good late game because Artemis has CC immunity. Sorry, AMC. You're one of my favorite ADCs, but you suck. Apollo, probably not as bad as people think he is. Moving him up to the balanced tier right now. His lane clear sucks, but actually his 1v1 potential is really high with the passive. His rotations are still on point. He actually has good CC. He's actually not as bad, I think, as people think he is, but he's not great either. But I would definitely pick him before I picked Artemis or AMC. Chalk does not have a place in this meta. He doesn't work as a support. He doesn't bring enough peel. He doesn't work in the solo lane because his endgame is ass. There you go. Hebo reminds me a little bit of Kukulkan Volkan, and so I'm going to move him up to this A- tier. Basically, you have a game-changing ult. but your ultimate also puts you out of position. You've got good crowd control. You got a slow and a knockup. You got good damage. But why would I pick Hebo for damage when I can pick Agni, right, and have safe damage? I can poke you from far away, plus I get to save my getaway skill to get away. I don't have to use Hebo to do damage to you, and then I'm out of position because that's also my getaway. Hell, no spot for her in this meta. Kumba, on the other hand, is probably a pretty balanced character right now. With the addition of the slow on the Mez, he became fairly strong. Not stronger than Geb or Bacchus or Sylvanas or Athena, all these amazing characters, but he became more viable towards the end game. You can Mez the ADC, and they're like, hey, my attack speed is really slow. Neith getting a little bit of buff in this patch. Also inadvertently getting a buff with Heartseeker. Heartseeker now has 80 physical damage on it. You can get it earlier. Neith, her 1 got buffed from 70% scaling to 90%. That 20% scaling plus the Heartseeker damage is actually a lot of damage on Neith's skills, especially for the early game. You actually have quite a bit of 1v1 potential now on Neith, on top of the fact that you have the best lane clear essentially of any hunter besides like AMC. Neja, don't play him. I don't care how cool you think he is. He's a fun character. He sucks. Odin, we're going to bring up to this A- tier, which is now running out of room. So we're going to move your butt Hebo down. He's at this like A- tier. The reason why I bring him up there is he's actually got wonderful counterplay with him. We're in a kind of a burst/sustained meta, right? Where if you burst a comp down, but then you reset and you kind of try to heal up with your Sylvanas, or you heal up with your Rock, or you heal up with your Chunga, or whatever. It doesn't matter what healer you have. Odin does very well against healers. If they have a Sylvanas Ra, you can very viably pick an Odin to counter their healing. Zeus, no reason to play him, but he is safer than Anubis. That's something. And our bottom characters, Anubis, Cabraca, and Nox, they all suck. I'll bring Anubis up to this like in-between tier which doesn't exist just because I feel bad for Last, because Last likes Anubis so much. So there you go, Last. He's not the worst character in the game according to me, even though he might be. But I'm going to give you that just because of... And for the shout out to Knight, who played at Worlds and played an amazing Anubis. I don't know, man, but I feel bad for Anubis, who's also one of my first characters, so I don't want him to be down there. Alright, guys. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my tier list. Let me know if you want to move anybody around, and tell me why you think they should be moved around. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Please subscribe to me on YouTube if you enjoy the production that I do. And always, have a twitchin' day, y'all.